question I received was, how do I know that my painting is not terrible? So there's a lot of ways to approach the answer to this. There are, ways I guess you could judge whether or not a painting is quality. Things like, how is the composition? How's the paint quality? Is it refined? Does it have, a balance of elements? Things like that. Like if you're looking at it through like a critical eye in the art world. But in this phase of learning to intuitive paint, it's more about, am I being honest? Is this an honest expression of what I was showing up to let out? Did I allow myself to be carried through the process and make moves instinctively? Was I able to stay in flow? Was I able to let go? Did I follow what was feeling really good to me? And that is when I feel like you're going to be happy with your painting, when you're allowing yourself to be carried by the process and you're not completely caught up in how it's going to look. Because the more you get caught up in how it's going to look at the end, the more you're going to get out of flow. And we don't want to be out of flow. We want to be in the flow, enjoying the process, even the ups and downs. We want to be learning from it. And when we get to that final stage of refinement, there won't be a lot left to do because magic will have happened. And so it'll be a little bit like, let me clean this little bit up, let me quiet this little space. But it'll be beautiful because it's an honest expression of you and you carried yourself through the creative process. And so we really want to get away from really judging our art in the early phases. We just want to be creating it. And there's a quote by Andy Warhol where he says something to the extent of, let other people judge whether your art is good or bad and just get back to creating more art. And so, if you like it, great, that's a huge bonus. And like I said, I've made paintings that I didn't even really like, but other people liked them and they bought them. And so I would just encourage you to be less focused on how your painting turns out and more focus on your creative process and being honest and true and showing up for that. And then I think you're going to be a lot happier with the end result. You can also share both your process, your works in progress, and your finished paintings with people and get their feedback. And also trust yourself. You've seen a lot of art, you've seen things that are beautiful. And I think as long as it's honest and an honest expression of you, it's going to be good and it's going to be powerful. But again, like over time, after you get really, comfortable with your creative process, you can learn more about composition. This past year, I began learning a lot more about composition. I've been painting for a very long time and really only knew a handful of things about it. And as I'm wanting to elevate and embark on creating more honest work, more raw work, more art that feels even more like myself at my core, I want to have more tools. And so, you don't have to learn everything all at once. Learn a little bit at a time and, allow this process to take the time that it needs, which sometimes can feel frustrating at the beginning. I mean, I remember when I just wanted to have my art style all figured out and other artists would say, no, you need to paint like 100 paintings before you find your style. And it was like, no, I want to know my style today. And really, I can see the wisdom in that now because, I can have good taste, right? I can say this painting is amazing, but I can only make a painting that looks like this. And the disconnect between the two are very frustrating. And that's something that I heard early on. It was like, well, I can't make this painting, and so how can I stick with the process long enough of making bad painting after bad painting after bad painting to get to the point where I can make a good painting that I'm at least medium happy with. And it just takes time, you know. You got to make a lot of ugly paintings sometimes to get to the good ones. But you'll know whether it's worth it, whether this is something that really calls to you, whether this is something you want to stick with, because you'll feel it. It'll draw you back again and again. And so you'll push through making the ugly paintings because you'll want it that badly. And it's all valuable. Every stage in the process of becoming an artist is valuable, and there's always something else to aspire to, which is why I love it so much. It's always challenging. It's never not going to be challenging. There's always new work to be made. And so I would just say, just stick with it and trust your judgment, and try not to worry too much about how good your paintings are in the beginning, because that's not necessarily what matters just yet.